Hi everyone, I'm Scott. Welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100, a collaboration channel here on YouTube. There's seven of us. We review movies throughout the week based on a particular theme. And this week our theme is related to the birthday of one of our members, Big Al 1982, who is our founder of the channel. It was his birthday yesterday, the 14th of May, and so this year we've been doing something different with that. We've been focusing on people in the movie industry that share the same birthday as each of us. Last time it was my birthday, I just chose to do a movie by Anthony Perkins because he has the same birthday as me. Al shares birthdays with people like the director Robert Zemeckis, Tim Roth, Cate Blanchett, and we've had videos from some of the other guys in the channel about movies that those people have made. We've had a few top 5 lists, actually, and I wasn't going to do that in particular because the one who wasn't taken that I was more familiar with, she's only made like 5 movies, I think, in total. That's Sofia Coppola. She's a director, of course, who shares Al's birthday. At least I think she has. I don't know if to double check on that. I didn't end up choosing any one of her movies. Instead, I decided to take a look at a movie that starred Amber Tamblyn from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It was called Stephanie Daly, and it was about a girl in high school who gets pregnant accidentally, ignores the signs, basically just is willfully ignorant and ends up giving birth in the ladies' room of a ski lodge. And so her baby doesn't really survive that because she sort of disposes of it. So she's charged with negligent homicide, I think, and she's being evaluated by a psychiatrist who's played by Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton's basically the main character of the film. So it's a drama with her basically evaluating and asking Amber Tamblyn's character some questions about how everything went down, and we have flashbacks dramatizing that kind of stuff. It's an okay movie. Not one that I would be like, yeah, it's awesome, it's great, or it's extremely moving. It's fine. It was made in 2006. This was only the beginning of when digital cameras were really starting to get good. So they hadn't quite got there yet. Still kind of a blurry, streaky looking movie with lots of handheld camera work, and on video it just doesn't look as good as film would have. But it's okay. It's a fine movie. Good acting in any case. The movie that I wanted to focus more on really was one of Tim Roth's films. And earlier in the week we had a Tim Roth top 10. I believe that Ray did that one, or top 5, excuse me. One movie that he kind of skipped over that I wanted to mention was Rob Roy, which came out in 1995. And it came out very close to Braveheart, and both of these are set a few centuries ago in Scotland, and involve conflict between Scottish citizens and British people who are in power. Not really the military in this case. Braveheart basically told a big story about war between Scotland and England, whereas the story in Rob Roy is a bit more personal. I didn't really remember that too much about the story, only that Liam Neeson, the main character, Robert Roy McGregor is his name, and a character played by Tim Roth named Archibald Cunningham, actually. And I was thinking to myself, when I heard that name, I thought, what, the guy from Happy Days? No, that's Richie Cunningham, not Archie Cunningham. Tim Roth basically plays one of the most detestable characters you could ever see in a film. He's this extremely dandy, very, very sort of just an annoying character. Really, really puts on a lot of airs, and is quite detestable in a lot of ways. He's extremely selfish, and doesn't really give a hoot. He's sort of been banished to Scotland by his family, it would seem. He wants to go back to England, but he really doesn't have a place there. No one will take him in, and so I guess the character played by John Hurt, whose name is Lord Montrose, he's taken him in. He might be his uncle or something like that, but basically he's just sort of forced to take on Tim Roth's character as a house guest. And when there arises this conflict between Lord Montrose and Liam Neeson's character, Tim Roth is basically dispatched to handle the problem. What Lord Montrose, the John Hurt character, doesn't realize is that Tim Roth is the one who's responsible for all the trouble to begin with. Liam Neeson's character lives in a Scottish village with several other people who he's very close with. family, friends, what have you. He's married to Jessica Lange. They have 2 kids. And by all accounts, he's very happy. He's not wealthy or anything like that, but he's doing okay. And he decides to go to this Lord Montrose with a proposition to borrow about £1,000 to raise, to buy cattle, and then fatten them up and take them to a market, and maybe add to their numbers along the way, and then sell for profit. And he'll repay the debt to Lord Montrose along with interest. He asked Lord Montrose to consider it like an investment. So Montrose, the John Hurt character, has sort of a right-hand man, as a financial handler, if you will, played by Brian Cox. And Brian Cox lets Tim Roth know what's going on here, so the 2 of them concoct a scheme whereby they will steal the £1,000, which is basically just a bag full of coins, and blame it on one of Liam Neeson's friends. Oh, he took the money and then he just rode off and disappeared. He must have stolen it. But actually keep the money for themselves. And when this happens, Liam Neeson doesn't know what to do, so he goes to Lord Montrose and he says, look, there must be some way that I can repay you. And Montrose says to him, sure there is. There's this other lord who I don't like very much, so I want you to testify falsely against him. I want you to impugn his reputation. And Liam Neeson says, I'm not going to do that. You know, I owe you money. I don't owe you, a favor of having to lie and impinge someone's reputation for you. And so at that point, Montrose doesn't like the fact that he isn't getting his way, so sicks Tim Roth on him. And Tim Roth's character is actually quite an expert swordsman and very, very vicious, and lays waste to the village. And in the meantime is just a horrible human being in general, just a very, very horrible person. Really nice performance from Tim Roth. It's unlike most of the other characters that he's played, because he's very fancy and very overly mannered and bows elaborately and speaks differently than he has in any other film. Unlike Liam Neeson, who basically is just playing, a 17th century version of the guy from Taken, basically. He's a badass. I mean, he's just a badass. And Eric Stoltz, I should mention, is in this movie as well in a brief part. He plays the friend of Liam Neeson who is charged with collecting the money, basically, from Brian Cox. And once he does this, of course, it's very, very late in the day. Brian Cox makes him wait all day long and finally gives him a sack of money. At which point, Eric Stoltz rides on horseback alone back to the Scottish village, at which point, of course, Tim Roth follows him, accosts him, and kills him. It's a really, really great sequence where Eric Stoltz is wounded, or he's lost his horse, or his horse has been killed. I forget exactly how it goes, but he's basically stumbling through the forest with no one around for miles who could help him, and Tim Roth is just very, very casually strolling after him, waiting for him to collapse so he can stick the sword in him and take the money once and for all, and then dump the body later on and blame everything on Eric Stoltz. Yeah, this isn't a movie that I'm particularly fond of. I think Braveheart's just a lot more memorable in the sense that there's these big speeches and there's huge battles with lots of graphic violence, and so it makes a stronger impression than Rob Roy does. But Rob Roy is a decent movie. It's, again, more of a personal story than a big sort of massive historical story. Braveheart sort of made its story personal by having the English kill Mel Gibson's wife early on in the film, and so not only does he want Scottish independence, he also wants vengeance for his wife as well. Whereas this movie stays more personal, stays small scale. So yeah, it's an okay movie. It's directed by Michael Caton-Jones, who's done a lot of stuff. He did This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, one of DiCaprio's first movies. And he did, let's see, what else? He did Doc Hollywood, I think, with Michael J. Fox. And I think he also did the remake of La Femme Nikita with Bridget Fonda. What was it called? Point of No Return? I think he also directed that movie. I can't be absolutely certain. But yeah, he's well liked by his actors. A lot of them really like working with him a lot. In fact, I read an interview in which he was being profiled, and actors basically just called up the writer of the article out of the blue just to say, hey, I hear you're writing an article about Michael Caton-Jones. I just want to tell you what a great guy he is. And the writer's like, whoa. So I've seen a bunch of his movies. He doesn't have like a real distinctive style like a lot of directors do. But you know, he's competent enough. Again, this isn't a movie, Rob Roy, again, isn't a movie that I would go, yeah, it's a must-see, yeah, it's really great. It's fine. It's a decent movie. Well worth seeing for Tim Roth, especially in the last scene where Liam Neeson manages to settle things by arranging for a one-on-one duel with Tim Roth. And of course, he doesn't realize how good a swordsman Tim Roth is. Really, really good scene there. Nice fight at the end there. No big-scale battle scenes like in Braveheart, but a decent flick. Certainly a decent flick. And has a good cast, too. So, happy birthday, Al. I know it was yesterday. Happy birthday. I hope you had a fun one. And thanks for everyone else for watching my review. Hope you liked it. We'll have a new theme starting tomorrow. Peace, everyone. Subscribe, please, if you haven't already. Come visit our Facebook page and give us feedback and let us know if there's any particular theme you'd like us to touch on in the future. Later.